creative living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
I'm so glad you joined me today for Creative Living. We're going to learn to make an orange kiss chocolate cake, talk about how to live with less so you can have more, and demonstrate cooking with salmon and watermelon. One of my guests is Nancy Seiler, and she represents Wilton Brands in Woodridge, Illinois. Nancy's going to show how to use icing dots, zigzags, and lines to turn a simple chocolate cake into an extraordinary treat. Another guest today is Catherine Porter, and she's a book author and has coined a phrase she calls Clutternomics. It means making the economy of clutter work for you. She'll explain how to declutter our homes and lives so that we can have more room and more time for the things that are truly important to us. Catherine lives in Colorado Springs, Colorado. My first guest is my good friend Connie Moyers, and she's going to talk about wild-caught California king salmon, which is tasty and contains omega-3 fatty acids, and it's easy to prepare. Connie's going to pair this with watermelon, which is delicious, also easy to prepare, and extremely healthy. She lives in Clovis, New Mexico. Connie, thank you so much for being with us. You always bring some recipes or ideas that are usually very simple, but I'm always amazed. I just hadn't thought about doing that. And when you're going to show using salmon in the way you're going to show it, I'm so excited to try this recipe.
You know, really, salmon is an easy meal to fix because you can broil it, bake it, poach it, grill it, any of those ways, and you don't really have to do much tending to it.
Mm-hmm. And it cooks in what do they say, 10 minutes per inch?
Of thickness.
Of thickness. Gosh, that's fast.
So it is, and this is fresh, wild-caught salmon from the Pacific. You know, it doesn't have a fishy smell. It's just, and look at the beautiful red color on it. It's really good.
So wild-caught is good in case people are seeing that container or that package. That's what they need to look for.
And you know, the season for the fresh is from like May to September. And then at the end of the season, then you can just freeze and take it out and thaw it in the refrigerator, and it's easy then to
so year-round availability.
And you know, it's they catch it by trolling, not by nets or something. So it's part of the sustainable fishing program. So it's a good product. It's a good livelihood for people, and it's a good safe product.
And is salmon one of the fish that is high in omega-3?
That's right. So the omega-3 is really good for us. It's good for our heart. It's good for our brain function. And we all should eat more. You know, the doctors will tell you really should be eating this about 5 times a week.
Wow, I would like to.
Yeah. But this is just a piece that I have thought out. And I'm going to just kind of pat some of the moisture off the top of it just so our dressing will stick onto it. And it's really simple, you know, and honey mustard is a real popular thing right now. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to do 3 tablespoons of mustard. And
make our own.
Yeah, we'll just make our own, or you could do, you know, of course you could buy stuff too, but this is so easy, you might as well just make your own.
And if you want a little more honey or a little more mustard, that's
and,
what you
know,
can do.
some people love the taste of mustard, and so to be a little heavy on the mustard's fine for that program. Then I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of honey in there to go along with it. And I cheated and bought some garlic paste already, and that's kind of nice because we don't have to, you know, peel the garlic or do anything. But I have done this just with chunks of garlic as well, and it works fine to do that. So we're going to just squeeze
this is garlic paste
out of the refrigerator. Well, it's really in the produce section, you know.
That's where we find it in the store. Oh, okay, I'm going to look for that.
So that was easy, and some cider vinegar to just give us a little bit more tang to it. And what we'll do is we'll just add this to our beautiful piece of salmon here. Now, the skin is on the bottom. And I line the broiler pan with foil just so it doesn't stick, because it'll stick to it. And you could spray that with some spray if you wanted to. But then when we eat it, you know, you just take it off with the top, and it's just
so it doesn't matter.
So easy to do that. So we'll just...
Do you have any other special suggestions once you make this honey mustard recipe? What else have you tried?
You know, I've done this with chicken. you know, pork, it would even be
Oh.
good and kind of different. Pork tenderloin or something, that would be good. So honey mustard, like I said, can go on a lot of different things that we would put this on. And if we were going to put this under the broiler, we would want to make sure we lowered the rack so that it's not so close that this part burns. And then
before it
gets cooked, because this is a pretty thick chunk of salmon. Or we could just bake it, and it would work too.
We don't cover it or anything, just bake it just as
no
is.
covering, or we could put it in on the grill, but I would put it on a piece of foil.
Okay.
If I did that, so that would be easy.
Well,
And you know, sometimes it's kind of hard, but you might have some leftover salmon.
that would be hard to
And
believe.
salads are a really good choice of things to fix. And we have a lot of times that we do have leftover things, and we want a main dish salad, something a little bit lighter than just meat. And so this is some salmon that I had
just
left
chipped up.
over, and I just chunked it up.
You know, I do this with chicken all the time.
Sure, any meat
But I've
would
not
work.
thought about using salmon. I think because I've never had leftovers.
Yeah, I sort of say, you know, my house, if we have leftovers, it's because I've saved part of it back.
That's
But if
the
you
best
put
way.
it at the table, it's probably going to all be gone. But, you know, that makes a beautiful salad there to go with that. And, you know, research has shown that kids aren't really good about eating vegetables, but they like things like croutons and
crunchy.
the crunchy stuff to go with it. And this is there's such a variety on the market.
yeah.
Just look at all the different ones. Mrs. Cubison's is the Asiago cheese ciabatta crouton. So it has a little bit of, you know, good flavor
add a
to
good
it.
flavor to
And
it.
we can add this, and you know, people can just choose their own dressings, whatever they want to, something real light, vinegar and oil or something to go over the top of that. And that's all it would take to fix that.
And with everything already prepackaged, it really does make preparing any meal so much easier.
And you know, there's some studies that, or people used to say, we shouldn't, you know, we need to pre-wash those salads that were already prepackaged, but they are pre-washed for us and they're safe to eat.
So we don't
So
have
we don't need to do
Good.
that at all. And you know, this watermelon is so good. We can get it all times of the year. And this is just a beautiful fruit salad with greens and watermelon. And we're going to add some onion to it. Just a little bit of onion that we got already
Red onion,
pre-chopped. I thought the red would be kind of pretty in there. Some feta cheese. That looked
I
good.
like your bowl. It looks like a basket.
It does. I've had this bowl for a long time, and a lot of people have wondered where I got it. This is just a little bit of olive oil, and we'll just drizzle it over the top of it to give it some flavor.
This is an easy
Look how easy
salad
it
to
is.
make.
And the watermelon is really good for us, plus the vegetables, any vegetable that we want to put in there. But the watermelon has lots of lycopene in it, the most of any fruit or vegetable. And
Even
that's
more than tomatoes?
even more than
Wow.
tomatoes. That's a really good antioxidant for our body. And it has a lot of vitamin A and C. And it's real light and refreshing. So
Isn't
it's a
it great
good
when we find those
choice.
recipes that are delicious, easy to make, but they're actually good for
It
us
is,
too?
yeah, that's kind of handy, isn't
It
it?
surely is.
And to top off our meal, then we can always use rolls, hot rolls. We all love those. And these are Rhodes rolls, the frozen ones. Have you ever used those?
Yes, I have, and it's so easy.
It is. You know, you can just take them out of your freezer and set them out for 4 to 5 hours. They're ready to eat. Or you can pre-thaw them in your refrigerator. And then it just takes about an hour and a half for them to rise, and then you bake them 20 minutes
And they just
they're
have
ready.
to rise the one time like that.
And you could sprinkle something on them if you wanted them fancier, you know, some
Caraway
or some poppy seeds, or even some Parmesan cheese for something a little bit different.
Have to have hot rolls with
And
any meal.
We have to have butter to go
Yeah.
with our hot rolls. And I'm using these Butterbell crocks, and they're really handy because when we can store our butter in it on the table or in the or on the cabinet, and it's soft, it's ready to spread.
And there's nothing worse than hot rolls, and then you've got practically frozen
That's right.
or really cold
so
butter.
this is just going to spread real easy. We have about 1/3 a cup of water in the bottom of the crock.
Just tap water or
Cold water.
just cold water?
And you wouldn't put hot because it would start melting your
Oh, yeah,
butter.
and it all come out,
But
yeah.
just some cold water out of the tap, and then spread a stick of butter. It holds one whole stick of butter, and it'll keep for weeks. It doesn't
Well,
last
that
that
is
long at my house,
wonderful.
but
I hadn't thought
it's
about
ready to go. And this is out of another one, but I've added some herbs to it. And so we've spread this onto the butter or onto our hot rolls, and you can just see how easy that spreads, and it's ready to go.
And you don't destroy the shape of the bread
That's
from chiseling
right.
off the butter. I really like that idea.
So a really quick several meals here that we have.
And several ideas that you've given us for that leftover salmon, or that we put back aside and to make it. It's so easy to prepare.
And then the croutons just top it off.
Well, these are great ideas, great recipes. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Connie. Catherine, thank you so much for being here today. Your book on decluttering, I started to say clutter, you deal with clutter and teach us how to get rid of a lot of clutter, keeping the most important things but getting rid of the other. But I like the word you came up with called Clutternomics. What do you mean by that?
There's an economy associated with clutter. It costs more for everything you own just than what you pay at the register. Even if someone gives you something for free as a gift, it still costs you money. It costs you money in the real estate in your home. Are you getting a bigger home to store more stuff? It costs you not just money, or well, it costs you in insurance and other ways in money as well, but it costs you in stress because everything you own is always in the back of your mind. You're thinking about it. Did you put it away? Where did you put it?
Have to clean it.
Have to clean it. Exactly. So there's an economy to clutter beyond what we pay at the register.
I had never thought about that. I guess I thought, especially if it was given to me, it was free.
Right, and of course relationships. I can't tell you how many people come up to me over the years since I wrote the book and said, you know, my wife just keeps too much stuff. I can't handle this anymore. I'm thinking about leaving. What should I do? And
Wow.
it's such a horrible thing to hear, and I feel so bad for these people, but you know, really, they got to get rid of the stuff.
Well, and one of the things that you talk about that's sort of a plus, if we do happen to be a pack rat and we have lots of things, maybe it's time to sell those.
Absolutely. Turning your clutter into cash.
I like that.
Yeah.
And so tell us some of the ideas. Of course, we all know about eBay and how that could be
But with
profitable.
eBay, I think sometimes we get a little overzealous with eBay and we'll sell any little thing on eBay. And my rule of thumb is if you can't make at least $50 profit, then it's not worth your time. Because not only are you paying eBay a small commission, you have to drive your car to the gas station. It costs your time. Your time is worth something. So unless it's a big ticket item, I really recommend getting all your little stuff together and doing a flea market or garage sale.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's kind of my favorite way. About every 2 years, I think, I've got enough stuff, I just want to get rid of it.
We do it every year.
Every
That's
year.
our annual cleaning. We just get it out.
Spring cleaning becomes a garage sale.
Spring
well,
cleaning becomes
and
a garage
talking
sale.
about our time, which is, of course, very valuable, and I don't know of too many things that are more work to get ready for than a garage sale or a flea market, whichever. But if there's ways to save time, that's what we were going to talk about in some of the pricing.
Well, I just brought some samples on way to price things. As a consumer, you know, I still shop garage sales looking for deals. And what is so frustrating for me sometimes is there's no prices. I like to know how much they want for it.
Well,
So,
and on the other end, I think that's the most time-consuming thing is to price the stuff.
Absolutely. So these are some samples of ways that you can price things. This is my least favorite because you can see the string attached. It requires the most work, and you have to write the price in there. So, you know, I like low maintenance, and that's a little bit more high maintenance. But it works for things like clothes. These are some price tags where you just plug in the price. So
And stick on.
A little bit easier, you stick them on.
And sometimes they stick well, and sometimes I see them on the floor of the garage.
Now, what I like about these is there's no price on them, and you can just decide all the pink dots will be 50 cents. And then as the sale goes on, you can change the price on it. So you just use the dots and decide how much that you want to sell
Right.
them for. So that's what's nice about that. And then we have these, and these are just simple ones with 10 cents, 25 cents, a dollar, whatever. And those are easy too. So those are my two favorite.
And, well, and it's one of those, I used to use masking tape, so I'd have to write on it, tear it off. Half the time the tag tore right in the middle, and I'd have to remake it. And again, those don't stay on, the tape doesn't stay on, say, sweater knits if you're selling some of your clothes, which
Right.
tends to be what I collect the most and need to get rid of.
Right, and then that's again where these strings come in handy is when you're doing the clothes. So they do have a purpose, but they're you know, my least favorite to use.
Right, and deciding which ones work best on which products, that also saves time instead of having to go back and redo all the ones that fell off the sweaters.
And you could decide I'm not going to use any. You could just decide, well, they can offer, and that's okay too.
And besides garage sales and eBay, how else do you think that we could possibly make some money?
You know, you can make money without making money. And that sounds a little odd, doesn't it? I call it a free sale. You're making money without making money. It costs us to keep things. So we're making the money back, the opportunity cost. Does that make sense? Where how much time we'd put into it, how much money we'd pay for it for insurance, or the additional money we'd use to buy accessories to go with it. We're saving that money by giving it away. So I call that a free sale.
Well, and your idea about real estate, saving the real estate, the space in our house, because we may or may not need that space for other things.
Right. So the free, some people call it a curb sale, where they just throw everything on the curb and people come pick it up. I like to have a free sale in conjunction with a garage sale, because then it gets more people in. So then you have boxes of free stuff and the stuff that you want to sell.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed reading the book, and I think everyone can benefit from finding ways to get rid of some of those things that we either felt motivated to get, or they were gifts. That's the hardest thing for me to get rid of sometimes. Or finding things that were sentimental either at the time and maybe we don't need to keep, that we can use that space for something else.
Right.
Thank you very much for being with us today. Nancy, every time you come, you bring the most elegant looking cake, and I think, okay, we've done all there is to do, but every time you bring something new to show us, and this one looks really pretty.
Well, and it's quite easy. And if you have a technique that you're better at than others, just use that technique. But I'm going to show you a couple of cake decorating techniques that you can use. You could use different shades of chocolate icing and make it look quite different. It could be your signature dish.
Oh, it could. Let's take a look at the finished one. And I see what you mean about the different colors of icing, because you have the lighter chocolate, the darker. I can see which cake tips you've used, but that top is what I can't wait for you to show how to make those beautiful chocolate curls.
The chocolate curls, I have a confession. I used to be chocolate curl impaired. But I'm not any longer. I figured out how I can do it. There's two different techniques. One I'll show you, one I'll just talk about. But let's go ahead and get the decorations, because we've got chocolate here. Now this particular cake, what you could do is make it orange flavored by using some orange zest, like a couple of tablespoons of orange zest in a chocolate cake. You could put some orange extract in there and kind of zip it up. And then it kind of goes along with the gold, but you don't have to either. You can
and
make
we'll show the gold in just a minute too.
So I've got a round tip. It's a tip number 6. And what I'm going to do is I've got a tilting turntable, and this makes it so much easier to work with, so that it's angled, and then I'll turn it around so you can see what I'm doing. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put dots and make dots going down. And I just like to do it uniform. And what happens is you'll see, because my icing's a little soft, is I've got some tips on them. But as the icing dries, then I'll just take my finger and pat it down.
Now, do you use cornstarch on your finger, or can you just use it?
You can use cornstarch. You can use confectioner's sugar if you want to. But yeah, so I'm going to turn that around, and you'll see, like I said, the icing's a little soft, so it pokes out. But all you need to do is just let it air dry for a little bit, and then you can just pat it right down. It'll be just flat as can be. Okay. Now another thing you could do with your round tip is the zigzag. On that cake, I've done it with the.
Oh, you're using that same tip. Oh, I see. You're just doing kind of a little filigree.
And like I'm just going back and forth, and about the same uniformity. And then I'm going to stop, because I'll have a shell at the bottom. So that's another thing you can do. That's not on that cake, but I thought, well, let's just put it on this one. Now, if you wanted to see how that looked with a zigzag tip.
And this is larger.
This is like a 16. And so you'll see the same technique. So I'm just going back and forth with my arm. And then I'm just going to do a couple of these, which is star, squeeze, stop, squeezing, lift, squeeze, stop, squeezing, lift. So it's like your dots. Well, I can't help myself. I have to go all the way down. Okay, but you see, here's the zigzag with the star. Here's the zigzag with the round. And then here's the star, just going down with the stars.
So we've used 2 tips so far and made actually 4 different designs.
And then I've got a basket weave tip here, and you can have a serrated or you can have a flat. And I'm going to use the serrated because I think that gives some additional texture. Let me angle myself back up again.
That tilt really is helpful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and you can do it without it, but it just makes life so much easier. So I'm touching, and then I'm just dragging. I'm not actually touching my cake. I'm kind of walking it down, and then I touch down at the bottom. And then there you have the line, and you could do it either with the serrated edge or the flat edge. Now, let me just show you what else you could do. You could do shells, and I'm just going to do that top for the shells. And so you hold it at an angle, you squeeze, let it build up, and then you pull it towards you. And that's going to be your border, both top and bottom. You could actually do that down the side of the cake if you want. So try some of these different techniques, and whichever one you're really good at, use that one.
Well, and I have, thanks to you being here several times, I have a collection of different tips, but I have to admit I tend to use the same ones all the time. This would be a great cake to do, to try some of those that I've never used before.
And I think you kind of get the idea here. You're just letting it build up and then you're pulling it towards you. The other thing you could do is you could put some chocolate discs in between them. I could see this cake also happening in color. So if you wanted to use a chocolate base and then add some color to it. But now the chocolate curls.
This is what I want to see how to do.
Yes.
This is what you've already made.
And you want to use a potato peeler or a vegetable peeler is what you call it. These are two different ones that work fairly well for me. I'm going to show you that, and then I'm going to tell you about another technique while we paint them gold. And what I've done here is this is like the mini loaf pan, and I've taken a bag of candy melts, which is 14 ounces, but you could use 14 to 16 ounces of chocolate if you wanted to, and added 2 tablespoons of shortening so that it gives it a soft enough consistency that it curls. Now this, and the reason I add the shortening to it is because it makes it a little more forgiving when you get ready to make them. Because if you don't have it a little bit more forgiving, if you put it in the refrigerator, like the other way is you have parchment paper or wax paper on top of a cookie sheet, and then that sometimes rips the paper, or you have like a marble surface and you have a cookie spatula and you come at a 45-degree angle. You can do that. You don't want to do it on your bakeware because you will scrape your bakeware. So that's a little bit more technical and you have to worry about it a little bit more. But this, you don't have to worry about it being at the right temperature because it'll crack and break if it's too cold, and then it will just melt if it's too hot. So these are just candy melts with some shortening, and I've just got, and I'm going to go down the side, and you can see I'm going slow so that you can catch it, and you see you get a curl like that. And you don't have to worry if they're not perfect, because sometimes you can go back in, like I'm going to stop there, and I'm just going to go ahead and tap it down. You can reshape it. So see, I got an even tighter curl if you want to, but my hands are hot.
And you can make different widths. I mean, these are fairly short, small, and you can make the long ones.
Just curls?
Yeah.
Whoops. Okay. And then I'll take that and I can put it back together. And you can do it on the long side too, but I just thought for the camera it'd be easier to show on that.
These
and
are
here's some that I just
short
pre-made. You might want to wear a disposable glove because you can see I have very hot hands. So it's a little bit harder for me to do it because my hands are so hot. But then what you can do, if you can leave it like that if you want to. You could use dark chocolate. You could use the light cocoa if you wanted to. And then this is just some powder pearl dust.
Edible.
Absolutely food safe. And you can see, I'm just painting it on with food safe brushes. You could streak it if you wanted to. You could just dust it. You could just sprinkle it on top if you wanted to too. If
like with a strainer and just sprinkle it.
If you wanted to put it on with you know, something that, you know, like on fondant, you could dust it on like this, or you could actually mix it with some lemon extract or some vodka and then put it on.
And paint.
And actually paint with it.
And this comes in all different colors because I have some pink that's awfully pretty.
So that's basically it.
So then after, we'd do all the cake decorating on the cake first and then top it with the, and you don't have to put these down or adhere them with anything, do you?
No, you can just lay them on top.
Okay, and this is such an elegant cake. I know we can impress everybody.
Well, I just lined these up in a row, but you could just take that whole plate and just kind of scoop it right onto the cake, and you'd be done.
Okay, I'm ready to do the painting. That looks like fun to me. Thank you very much, Nancy. I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next time on Creative Living, we'll learn how to make ottomans and tuffets. We'll talk about the organic skincare movement and discuss growing pumpkins and gourds. One of my next guests is going to demonstrate making easy ottomans and tuffets, or if you don't want to make them yourself, she'll share some tips on where to go and how to choose ready-made ones. Another guest is going to talk about why more women and men are turning to organic skincare products, which may be a safer route in caring for our skin. And finally, we'll talk to a guest who will explain how to grow pumpkins and gourds, and he'll share some usage tips as well as tell how to identify the various products. All of these topics will be featured on the next Creative Living show. If you ever have comments or suggestions or ideas for shows, you can email me at sheryl.borden@enmu.edu. I'd also like to ask you to become a fan of Creative Living on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and in the search window type in Creative Living with Sheryl Borden. Thanks so much, and I hope you'll plan to join me again next time for Creative Living.
We are very pleased to offer a new booklet that accompanies this series of Creative Living. This booklet is titled the 6600 Series, and it features a wonderful collection of ideas and information, and it's available free of charge on our website. Posted as a PDF file, you can simply download the entire booklet, or just the segments you're most interested in. As with all of the Creative Living booklets, you'll find information on foods and nutrition, clothing and fashion, health and beauty, home decorating, and much more. For your copy of this booklet, go to our website at KENW.org and then click on Creative Living. Scroll down to the booklet section and you can click on this booklet or any of the other booklets we have available online. Once again, just go to KENW.org, click on Creative Living, and download the booklet titled the 6600 Series. We also want to encourage you to sign up for our free e-newsletter. Just click on the Sign Up Now button and input your email address. That's all there is to it. You'll enjoy reading an up-to-date newsletter filled with interesting topics and information. Thank you.